In his time, he was known as the richest man in the world, King Croesus. He was the king who ruled over Lydia, an area in Asia Minor, and was able to subjugate a large number of Greek cities on the coast, including Ephesus. It is said that his wealth came from the sands of the river Pactolus, in which the legendary King Midas washed his hands to rid himself of the Midas touch, which turned everything he laid hands on into gold, and in so doing, the legend says, made the sands of the river rich with gold. Whatever the truth might be, the Lydians, either during the reign of Croesus or just before, were cited as the first people to mint coins of gold and silver in Asia Minor, a currency known as the Cresate or Chrysois Stateres. It was also Croesus who founded the construction of the great temple of Artemis at Ephesus, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Although some have claimed that Croesus was largely a legendary figure, his signature at the base of one of the columns of the temple of Artemis is evidence that he was an actual historical king, whose seat of power laid in the city of Sardis. Croesus was a member of the Memnad dynasty, having succeeded his father Aliates to the throne after having faced a rival claimant to the throne of Lydia. During his reign, he continued his father's wars against the Asian Greeks, conquering the mainland Ionia by capturing Ephesus and other cities in western Anatolia. A lack of sea power forced him to form alliances with the islanders of Ionia rather than to conquer them outright, however. He also formed alliances with some of the European and Aegean Greeks, such as with the city-state of Sparta. Croesus has been mentioned in the works of, among others, Xenophon and Ctesias, but his most famous, though arguably fictitious, stories come from Herodotus' Historiae. Herodotus writes of the visit of Solon the Wise at the height of Croesus' power. Solon was a renowned Athenian philosopher and statesman who first laid down the laws which consequently shaped the Athenian democracy, also known as one of the 7 sages of Greece. Solon had traveled through Anatolia to Egypt and finally to Sardis, the capital of Lydia, where he came to be invited to the palace of Croesus. Whereas Croesus was known for his confidence and taste for the excessive with his temples made of gold, Solon was known for his dignity and wisdom, however. In his desire to impress his esteemed guest, Croesus entertained Solon for at least 2 nights and ordered his attendants to show him around his treasures on the 3rd day of his visit. Upon the conclusion of this grandiose tour, Croesus turned to his guest and asked, "My esteemed guest from Athens, have you, on any of your travels, encountered upon anyone more fortunate than me? As one who loves learning and who has traveled much of the world for the sake of seeing it, tell me, have you ever met someone whom you consider to be the happiest man in the world?" Despite all this splendor, however, Solon did not seem to be the least bit impressed by the achievements and wealth of his host. The king was convinced that Solon, after having seen his great wealth, could only give one answer, but his guest said, "Certainly, king, the Athenian Telos." Surprised, Croesus then asked why, according to Solon, Telos was the happiest man on earth. His guest then explained that Telos was very happy because he had excellent children who, in their turn, also had very good children. In addition, he lived in a prosperous city, and the most important thing was that Telos died a heroic death, which earned him a great honor by the Athenians. Somewhat annoyed, Croesus then asked his guest who he considered to be the 2nd happiest man in the world. "It has to be Aglaus," Solon replied. The man was so happy living on his farm that he never even felt the need to leave it. And that's where he died, admired by his friends and surrounded by his loving family. "What of the 3rd?" Croesus demanded as he began to grow more and more furious. Solon, however, replied that this honor was reserved for 2 brave men from Argos, Cleobis and Biton. The 2 youngsters pulled their mother's cart for 5 miles by themselves when her oxen went missing. When they reached the temple of the goddess Hera, a priestess bestowed upon them the best gift she could offer the 2 sons. She had them laid down in the temple and rest, where they then died peacefully in their sleep. They were then fondly remembered for their strength and devotion to their mother. The rich and displeased Croesus spoke again. "You perplex me, my Athenian guest. Do you despise my happiness so much that you consider me less worthy than these common men?" "Oh no, Croesus," replied Solon. "I'm just saying what I know to be true. You seem to be rich beyond comprehension, and I'm sure that, at this moment, no man can fulfill more of his fantasies than you can in this whole wide world. However, I've seen people just as rich as you die more disgraceful deaths than the commonest and poorest of all men. Because, Croesus, man is entirely chance, and nobody knows what the gods may bring tomorrow. You should count no man happy until he dies. The king was anything but pleased with Solon's answers. He immediately ordered his guest to leave. Croesus, Herodotus reports, thought Solon was either a great fool or an even greater liar, because he had no eye for the happiness of the moment and only attached value to the very ends of everything. The second great event Croesus is mentioned in is Croesus' part in the Persian conquest of the Greek world. Despite Croesus' uneasy relation with the Greeks, he was in fact the last bastion of the Ionian cities against the increasing Persian power in Anatolia. It is written that Croesus sought out the famed Oracle of Delphi before he set out on his campaign against Cyrus the Great of Persia. In what would become one of the most famous prophecies from the Oracle of Delphi, they answered, in response to whether Croesus should pursue the campaign and whether he should seek out an alliance, that if he goes to war, he would destroy a great empire. Backed with the support of Sparta, Amasis II of Egypt, and Nabonidus of Babylonia, Croesus attacked the Persian Empire in 547 BC. Seeking to take the initiative, Croesus invaded Cappadocia, a region in eastern Anatolia, where he was subsequently intercepted at the Halys River, followed by an inconclusive battle at Pteria. Due to the stalemate that followed, Croesus decided to withdraw his forces to his capital of Sardis for the coming winter, as was customary for armies. Croesus expected Cyrus to do the same, but he actually had his forces pursue Croesus and stormed the city of Sardis after a crushing defeat on the plains of Timbria. After the fall of Sardis, Croesus' wife committed suicide and Croesus himself was dragged before Cyrus in chains. Croesus' fate has been retold in several different ancient sources, but according to Herodotus, Cyrus ordered Croesus to be burned alive along with several other Lydian nobles. When Croesus saw the flames of the pyre reaching up towards him, it is said that he cried out the words, "O Solon, Solon, Solon." Cyrus asked an interpreter what the words meant, and was then told of Solon's visit to Croesus' palace, and of how no man could be considered happy until after his death and the fickleness of wealth. Touched by this extraordinary tale, Cyrus realized that he and Croesus were not all that much unlike one another. He hastily ordered the fires be put down and Croesus be spared, but it appeared to be too late to douse the fires. It was at this moment that Croesus called out to Apollo, however, who answered his prayer. Though the weather that day had been clear and without a breath of wind, dark clouds soon gathered and produced a storm with a rain so violent that the flames were quickly extinguished. Seeing fit to spare Croesus, Cyrus took the old king into his court, where he served as an advisor to both Cyrus as well as his successor, Cambyses II. Though most modern-day scholars and historians believe that Croesus died on the pyre that day, the people of the centuries following King Croesus' life may very well not have been interested in such a morose end to the life of so wealthy and powerful a king. The story of Croesus served as a cautionary tale among the Greeks on hubris and a warning on not tempting the gods' wrath by thinking oneself as the happiest person in the world. In the end, the prediction of the oracle proved correct, but not quite as Croesus had expected. In his hubris, Croesus did not conquer a powerful empire, but instead lost his own. Hey there, thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. As you can see, I'm trying out a bit of a new visual style, which is the reason this video was delayed a little more than expected, along with the past holiday season. I'm back with more videos though, so here's to a year of plenty more videos to come. As always, let me know if there's any subjects that you would like to see covered next. See you next time.